What's up, everybody, and welcome to episode 11 of the On the Runs podcast. We're back together in person this week, coming to you from Erica's kitchen and dining room podcast studio, and we got quite the episode for you as we're going to bring on the Run's favorite for the first time. But first, before we do that, I got to say hi to my amazing co-host, Erica. What's up? I like these stickers.
I'm glad you like them, Newt. It makes me very happy. I can't wait to start giving them out. But everything is good with me. I'm glad to have you back in my kitchen studio.
So I'm looking here. I walked in the door and laid out all over the kitchen, we'll call it a podcast studio table, was all these stickers and magnets that Erica had made. As many of you remember our podcast logo, we finally created one, and the official podcast logo. I'm looking at about 100 stickers, maybe 25 or so magnets, 3x3, 4x4, blue and purple. They look amazing.
I'm so excited you like them. I had to try a bunch of different places to see who had the good stuff, and I think we know. So when we go to put in some more orders, we know where to go.
That's right. Yeah, you did a bunch of sample packs.
I did, yep.
So I'm looking at these ones here. There's about 100. I'm thinking those will go to the comedy fundraiser for Sarah's event in a couple of weeks, April 9th. Don't forget about that, everybody. Sponsored by On the Runs. I don't want to keep everyone waiting, though, because this is a huge episode. I think we might have some new friends on the West Coast.
Hopefully.
Yeah. So real quick, I want to give everyone a little background of our podcast, okay? So we are On the Runs, and we started a few years ago, not podcasting, but, well, we're all college friends, but we started running together as we're training for different events. I was going for Ironmans. You were training
marathons, yep.
Yeah. And we called ourselves the Breakfast Club because we'd all meet at Katie's on Sunday. We'd go run probably about 10 miles or so. And
something around there.
Dan would have breakfast for us when we got back. We continued that, right? Every week until the winter. And then we would try to, on a nice day.
Yeah, occasionally running in the winter because I cannot stand the cold.
Well, it was the winter about a year ago when we ran on like a 50-degree day in January. And I said, we should start a podcast. And you guys were like, yeah, that would be a ton of fun. And first we thought, let's have like cameras in front of us as we're running, and we'll be running and talking, and the camera will be like on this type of device, and it's connected to us, and we'll just chat and talk about stories. And they would all hear us breathing like, no one wanted that.
Nobody wanted that. I wouldn't want to do that.
but we finally started the podcast in the summer. We came with the name On the Runs because some of us sometimes constantly have a little GI issues a few miles into a run.
I'm looking at the one who usually has the GI issues.
We learned we got to take baby wipes with us, and I'm like, how about we call it On the Run? And then because we'll talk about stories while we're running, and I'm like, wait, no, how about On the Runs? So that's
play on words.
Right. So real quick, we did 3 episodes at Katie's house. It was fun. We were new. We were learning. We had one microphone in front of the middle of a table, and it was okay. We had fun, though.
It was a blast, yeah.
But then the fall came. We all got busy. But every day, Erica and I kept talking about what we want to do. And in December, we decided to buy some microphones and a recorder and some equipment. And right around that time, the girl we're going to have on today, she had her own Code Brown, and it went national. And I'm like, this is what we're about. We're about Code Browns and stories about, overcoming that Code Brown.
Yeah.
And, finishing what you started. So we started with episode 5. That was a good start with our new equipment. Then we brought on Denise for episode 6. We had Sarah for episode 8. Most recently, Dave. Some good practice interviews.
Yeah.
And I think now we're ready.
We have our own identity now. We have figured out who we are. We have figured out what we want to talk about. We figured out our mission statement. So should I go into it? You want me to?
I think you should.
All right.
Yeah, it's a first draft, but I think it's a good first draft.
All right. So we are a podcast that loves stories. It started with the hashtag Code Brown, and as many runners have gone through an actual Code Brown experience, we truly love all stories around the sport of running. A Code Brown could be any kind of oh crap moment.
Quote unquote.
Yeah, exactly. However, we love stories of accomplishments and struggles, overcoming physical and mental obstacles, and how the sport of running, along with any type of physical fitness, has played a role in that individual's journey.
So if you want to hear stories like that, and hopefully today's is going to be great and we can do more like it, like, subscribe, follow. We're on Spotify. One day we'll be on Apple. They're a little difficult, but we're on Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon. And you can also check out our Instagram @OnTheRuns. But now I think I don't want to,
Without further ado,
Yeah.
let's do it.
I think we should get to it. So, our next guest on the show, we think really fits the bill for our mission statement, and we're so excited to have her on. So, we're not going to make you wait any longer. You ready?
Yep, I'm ready.
Let's get to it. All right. Hope everyone enjoys this, and we'll see you on the other side. Our next guest on the On the Runs podcast is from Santa Barbara, California. She ran Division I cross country and track at the University of Arizona, earning Pac-12 honors. She qualified for the NCAA cross country nationals and the U.S. Olympic trials. She is currently a certified personal trainer and running coach while still training as an elite distance runner. Recently, she made national headline news when a little disagreement with mushroom pasta caused a little code brown, but that wouldn't stop her from finishing the California International Marathon with a time of 2 hours, 42 minutes, and 49 seconds. We're super excited to have her on our podcast and tell us all about it. Addi Zerrenner, welcome to On the Runs.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yay, I'm so happy. Addi, thank you so much for joining us today, especially from all the way across the country. This is a real treat.
And check this out. We got stickers now.
We gotta send some your way.
We're legit.
I would love that. Those are awesome.
And we got them in purple if you like purple too. Hey, so we got a lot to talk about. Your story made big time news, but I want to back up. All right. So we always like when we talk to someone, you're the fourth person we've talked to. But you're like the first. You're our, we'll call it our like On the Runs OG. But we want to go back to when you started running. So tell us how you got into running. I know you played soccer, but like tell us what happened around that time in middle school and high school.
Yeah. So I had grown up playing a bunch of different sports. Soccer was my primary sport, and my older brother is a 3-time national champion in soccer and played for 4 years at UCLA. And so his name is Zach, and I was always referred to as, oh, Zach's little sister. Okay, you're Zach's little sister. And was constantly compared to him and whatnot. So I decided to go out for track and field in my freshman year of high school, just to kind of stay in shape for soccer. And I was finally outside of my brother's shadow. And I was continuing to play soccer and to run. And ultimately, I just knew that my love for running was greater than my love for soccer when I started going into like tackles, just kind of like 80% because I didn't want to like injure myself for running. So then, it just became clear to me I just wanted to run all year round. And so by sophomore year gave up soccer, or I left soccer and just started running year round. Your
coaches were pretty influential from what I recall, right? You had a high school coach. That was a big deal. I think you had two of them there, and one of them said, you reminded her of a certain runner. Like, how did they impact your running early on?
Yeah, so I still sometimes lay in bed at night, and I just like, I got so lucky. So my high school coach for 3 of the years I was in high school was Len Miller, and he is one of the greatest coaches in distance running history. He coached Steve Scott, former American record holder in the mile, and I believe he still has the most sub 4 miles ever ran by an American. Could be wrong. And he's just a character. He picked me up almost every day for school because I would run before school with the guys, and most days he would take me home after practice. And so he really became like a father figure to me. But then also our team's assistant coach, Mix Purnell, he was the one who on the first day of practice told me I ran like a runner named Shalane Flanagan. And I was like, okay, cool. And then on the second day, he brought me a picture of her. I taped that picture to a wall in my room, and I was like, I'm going to be like her. And she's been my idol ever since.
I love it. Shalane is so amazing. Her 2017 New York City win was just, I think I cried that day. So I get what you're saying for sure.
Erica will DVR marathons and like watch them over and over. And she tells me about all these runners. She'll get so dramatic. She'll be standing and moving her hands and like trying to make me visualize what happens. And she's told me a few things about her before because I'm learning about some of these marathoners as we've started this. And that was one of them I learned about a month ago. And then it just happened to be, she's the girl that you put a picture on in your bedroom, you know, and looked up to.
Excellent.
She was so excited.
Yeah.
All right. So you're a little bit of a journalist too, I saw. You've written some articles of your own, mostly about running. How do you get into that?
Oof. That's a great question. I've always really enjoyed writing, and, you know, my mom's a classic mom. She thinks I'm good at everything. But she's always told me, you know, like, oh, you're such a beautiful writer. And for the former club I used to run for, the Hoka Aggies, we had to write a piece, and I wrote about how 2020 was actually a very healing year for myself personally. It was the first time since I'd been running that I was just running for me and not for like a race every weekend. And then also like my local it's like our local newspaper. It's called the Santa Barbara Independent. There was the Santa Barbara Half Marathon coming up. This was last year. And I got a really tall order. They reached out and they were like, we would really like if a runner could talk about this race in a runner's perspective. By the way, this was the first time the race had ever been run. So I'm like, how am I supposed to describe it if I've never even done it? And we want you to tie in your ongoing, you know, your history and your ongoing battle with an eating disorder and body image, all like within, I think it was like 1,000 words or less.
Oh, wow.
Like, go. And I don't know, writing is very therapeutic for me, very healing. So I just kind of sat down a few times and jotted out ideas and then really cleaned it up. And I just really enjoy writing. I journal as well.
That's very nice. You do it as like a side hobby, like it's one of your passions as well, yeah?
I wouldn't say passion. It's one of those things I should do, just like I should do yoga. Do I love it? No. But is it good for me? Yes.
That's like me and stretching. We don't get along. We should, but we don't.
The year before COVID, I got into yoga because my work would bring in a yoga instructor in 3 days a week. And it would just be like, it was like ultimate stretching for me. And it felt great for my back, but it was hard. It was very hard.
I've always wanted to be one of those tea drinking yoga people, and I hate tea. Well, I don't hate tea. I love coffee. And yoga, you know, it's like, I think the class is done and I'm only 10 minutes in. So
yeah,
I feel you there.
I just got into drinking tea because I don't drink coffee, but I drink way too much soda. And I'm trying not to do that. So
cut it out.
I know. I think for about 6 months, I've become a tea drinker. Mostly lemon flavored tea is what I go for. Yeah.
All right. So Addi, we were talking about how you went to the University of Arizona. So how did you decide on that college? And you wanted to obviously continue running there?
Yeah. So when I was choosing a college, the only thing I was worried about was running. I had no clue what I wanted to do other than run and help humans in some capacity. And so I was just very narrow-minded when I was taking my recruiting visits. But some of the best advice I was given was from my brother. And he said, you know, if you are injured, you have to imagine yourself still happy at the university. So that was one of my really big things, because two of the other top programs one of them was the University of Oregon, I'll just say, that was my dream. And I just could not see myself happy in those conditions. I was, you know, born and raised in Southern California, and I love the sun. So there was that piece. And then there was also the piece of, I knew going into college that I wanted to run post-college. And I felt like a lot of the coaches I was talking to could make me a great college runner, but might overtrain me and I wouldn't have a career after or be burnt out after. And so those were two of the biggest factors. And then the kind of cherry on top was, at the time I committed to the University of Arizona, their women's cross country team was national runner up. So that was a huge attractor as well.
Very nice.
So how's that work when you're national runners up? Because I remember in high school, I ran cross country and like the top 7 runners would be considered varsity. So one year I made it. I was number 7. I kind of had the same idea as you, but I played ice hockey. So I'd run cross country in the fall to get in shape for hockey season. But is it the same in college where you got like 5 or 7 of you, and the higher you finish, the more points you get for your school? And how is the competition then? Because if they're number 2 in the nation at the time and you're a freshman coming in, how is that kind of competition?
Yeah. So to answer the first question, it is the same in college. Some meets, like your conference meet, or I believe regionals, you can run up to 10 runners, but it's still kind of the same concept. Only your top 5 score, and the lower the team score, the better you finish, because you add up all the places and team with the lowest score wins. And so when I say the time I committed at University of Arizona, they were national runner-ups. A series of very unfortunate events from the time I committed to the time I got there occurred. And basically the team kind of imploded. There was only one eligible returner of those 7. So we were kind of starting from scratch, and a huge coaching change. The coach that had recruited me decided to leave. So it was kind of like, this is not what I signed up for. I was pretty disappointed. I also got there and I was not medically cleared. So I did have to medically redshirt my first season of cross country due to just, I wasn't a high enough weight, and the medical team just didn't want me to, represent the team unhealthfully. So I got there and I was so mad.
Oh, no. Not what you were looking for.
Well, it's good your brother then said if you were injured, like, you want to be somewhere you'll be happy.
Exactly. And I really was. I mean, the sun was out every day. It was like 110 degrees. So was definitely happy regardless of the circumstances.
Shout out to Big Bro there for helping you choose Arizona over Oregon.
Yes, for sure.
I definitely don't think you would like New Hampshire very much.
I think you would love it here in the summer. Great running weather, hills.
We've got bugs. Bugs are not where it's at.
I've been to Arizona once, and I do remember it being nice, and it was March actually.
Oh, that's the best time of the year there. Yeah.
Excuse me. Do you like cats, by the way? Did you see that? Did you see that when you were talking?
She is a little pain in my butt. Yeah, that's my cat Maisie, and she just wants to be a part of the action, and she'll come and she'll start biting all of our cords, and I'm like, you're adorable, but go away. So she'll probably jump up a couple more times. But
do you have any pets? I got to ask now that we're talking about cats or dogs.
I grew up with all the pets. Well, I grew up riding horses. Currently, I don't, because I can barely take care of myself. I was so close to getting a dog during like prime quarantine. I always joke that I'm going to be that old lady with a bunch of cats, but with like millions of dogs, because I just love dogs so
Dogs
much.
Rule.
Yes.
I'm a dog guy.
I got the cats. I'm going to be the crazy cat lady. So, well, we know, but other people might not know. Your first marathon was in 2019. And which one did you pick?
I chose Grandma's Marathon in Duluth, Minnesota.
How was that? I actually have that one on my bucket list. I'm trying to do all the states, and that I don't have a Minnesota yet.
It is the Disneyland of marathons. There is a wait list for the volunteer staff.
No way.
Think of any other thing where people are like waiting to volunteer. Everyone was so nice. It was so like smooth, and I loved the course. I wanted to go back this year, kind of coming off of an injury, so not trying to cram fitness in right now. Mm-hmm. But I would 11 out of 10 recommend Grandma's Marathon.
How is the course? Are we talking like rolling hills? Is it flat, net downhill?
It's pretty flat. There is one hill around mile, I think it's 22. I think it's called Lemon Drop or something. But it actually comes at a very ideal time. You're starting to get super tired, and then going up that hill causes you to recruit some different muscle fibers, and then from then it's just kind of straight down / rolling hills. I'm actually not a fan after CIM of net downhill courses. My my IT bands were just shot. So I'm definitely a rolling hill / just flat kind of runner.
Like I said, you would love New Hampshire.
We got enough hills to go around.
So that leads us into another marathon you ran. That's how we found you. That's why we brought you on, and we want to hear about your CIM marathon last December. And a little mushroom pasta got in the way of, it really did not get in the way actually of a good time and a good run. Tell us about that.
Well, I appreciate that. After the race, I was able to soak in that, that is still like a really good time because I was training for and on pace to run like a 2:35, 2:36. The USATF 2 days prior had announced that the new Olympic trials qualifying time was going to be 2:37 flat. Now, even if I would have run under 2:37 flat on that day, it wouldn't have counted because the window hadn't opened up. But I just still really wanted to do that. And so, like I said, yeah, I was on pace. I was just feeling very smooth. And at around, mile 7, just really felt like I needed to poop. And I knew that if I had stopped in a porta potty, even if I ran, so my PR is a 2:37:47, and I knew that even if I'd run like a 2:37 low, I'd still be, a 2:37 marathoner. So I was like, I'm not wasting any time. And a lot of the day I blame on my family, just because in my family, everyone's wild. Like I have several other cousins that run and they're always talking about poop. And so like, it really wasn't even like a thought. I was just like, no, I'm going to go while running. Like I've heard my cousin Jamie talk about this, and happy I did the first time because I had to go about 2 more times, and then kind of was feeling still great. People were like giving me the weirdest looks. I remember some people pointing, saying, "Oh no, she fell." And I'm like looking around like, where would have I fallen in this? Like, no. And so, yeah, up until about mile 20, I felt great. And then at mile 20, I don't think I was getting in enough calories and just kind of really hit the wall for the first time, had like the true marathon experience. I wasn't embarrassed the whole marathon. And then when I finished, it was like, I was mortified.
Oh no. We saw those pictures and somebody was like, "Oh, I couldn't even tell. It looked like KT tape." And we're like, yeah, I mean, I would have played it off the same way.
The way it wrapped around one of my legs, a lot of people said it looked like KT tape. But if you were within, 10 feet of me, you could, the smell was just not good.
Oh no.
Yeah.
So let's go back to the first Code Brown. You said you're really happy you did because you had to go 2 more times. So when that happened, I'm imagining because you're just on pace for that great run, you're just like you felt great, and then you just were going to keep going, or like when it came, did your stomach start to like grind up again, and then you felt bad? How'd that go in between the Code Browns?
Yeah, a lot of people have asked me like, "Oh, so like, yeah, your stomach must have been hurting." It never hurt. I just like if it were a great training run and I just like peeled off in a bush, got back, like got my rhythm, which I do in a lot of my long run workouts.
Just like us.
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't have been like an issue whatsoever. My stomach really didn't hurt. It was just like, wow, I ate a lot last night, which I knew I did, and I've learned a lot. I do love vegetables, but I'm really going to limit them pre-race now. But yeah, there was mushrooms and maybe a bowl of broccoli. So just so many things that I would do differently in the future, but I wouldn't do it. If I could go back, I wouldn't do anything differently.
Well, my advice, if you have heard a previous episode, would be eat a whole pizza and drink a 6-pack of beers, and then randomly just decide to go do the Lake Placid half marathon the next day in PR.
Okay.
That's what I did.
So what do you usually like to eat before your races? Like what does work for you?
I'm still trying to learn. I call it my second official marathon. It was like my third. I don't really count the Olympic trials because I was super injured going into it, got healthy right before, and it was a 26-mile fun run. Mm-hmm. So I have been doing like what worked for me the night before Grandma's marathon was just pasta, bread, and lots of it. But I try to really increase my carbohydrate intake the whole week leading up to a marathon. And I think a mistake a lot of runners and myself I'm learning is just, I hate feeling hungry while running. It's just, I don't like it. And
right?
so I think the night before a big race, especially a marathon, I just tend to eat maybe a little too much. So just going to go for the bland stuff next time.
It's a good tip. We had talked about it once on one of our episodes. I just did like a trail marathon, like it was the virtual Boston. And I went out by myself. I had Chipotle the night before, and usually I will bring like my own wet wipes and stuff because we were on a rail trail. Well, I say me. We were on a rail trail, and I was like, I need to go. I'm 11 miles from my car. This is not going to be good. Didn't have any wet wipes. I had to go like knock on business doors, like trying to find somebody to let me use their bathroom. I'm like, please feel pity for me so I can make it home. And Chipotle is not the way to go. So neither is broccoli and mushrooms.
So most of the Code Browns we've experienced is like, we're not running a 2:37 marathon.
No. I did like a 5-hour marathon.
And we're like looking for, okay, where's the porta potty? So we ask ourselves, like, could we do that? The answer is yes. Would we do that? I mean, unless we're on pace to qualify for the Olympic trials, I don't know.
That's the only way I think I would be able to do that.
So we're like, this is amazing what she did, because you were doing sub 6 minutes there on pace to PR. And then I just feel bad for hitting that wall, which you said is the first time you hit a wall.
After my first marathon, one of my teammates who is quite a bit older than me, he said, you kind of shot yourself in the foot. Like no one has an ideal first marathon. And so I was actually really happy to get so much of a pun intended shit show out of the way at CIM. Cause I'm like, okay, now I feel like I'm a true marathoner.
That's awesome. Back to CIM, you crossed the finish line. And then what happens? I know a friend of yours helped you out. Tell us about that. You went into like a hotel or a restaurant bathroom, had to take care of stuff. You said it like before, everything smelled awful.
Yes. So I crossed the finish line. And like I said earlier, I wasn't embarrassed, the whole 2 hours, 40, whatever minutes. And then I crossed the finish line and it's just 2 volunteers. And one literally looks at me and goes, what do we do? And then I feel so bad about myself and I'm smelling myself. And the other volunteer has a bottle of water. He's like, I don't know, do we pour it on her? And I'm just like, I'm disgusted with myself, the smell and everything. I don't want anyone touching me. And so they had all these, like, they weren't the classic marathoning, like, blankets that you wrap around. They were like these jackets made out of kind of like what reusable bags are made out of, if that makes sense.
Oh, yep.
Yeah. And so I just like wrapped, I think like 10 of them around me. And then all of a sudden, one of my teammates' wives, who's an ultra runner, came out of nowhere. And I was like, Melissa, please don't touch me. And she was like, I got this. We're cleaning you up. Let's go. And so they were holding a post-race like brunch of sorts at this like nice little super, super nice, like almost country club right at the finish line. It's called the Sutter Club. And so she gets me into the bathroom and it's like a marble, floor bathroom. And she has toilet paper up her nose. She puts it up mine and she's like walking off. I'm like, Melissa, I need to go back to my hotel room. Because other girls were coming out and they were just like, they were gagging and I was just gagging. And so she really wanted to get my shoes off my feet. And I was wearing the Alpha Flies, which, are a $200 something shoe.
Mm-hmm.
Every part of me wanted to try to save them, but there was so she takes these shoes off my feet and we just throw them in the garbage.
Oh, my heart breaks for those.
Nike.
Yes.
Nike, I hope you heard that.
I gotta send
Hook her up, Nike. Come on.
So now Melissa's helping me get back to the Sheraton Hotel. I don't have any shoes on and I have all these like, finisher jackets wrapped around me. And so I get about halfway there and then I'm like, Melissa, I need to take my shorts off, which were also Nike. So Nike, if you're listening. And so I take the shorts off, throw those in a trash can. So now I am pantsless, shoeless, walking around in downtown Sacramento. And I get to the Sheraton, which is probably the nicest hotel I've ever stayed in. And I get up to my room, and later Melissa tells me that like the front desk worker just kind of looked at me and shook his head, and she just gave him a look like, do not approach her. So yeah, that was my, like, that was the only disappointment of the day, because like the post-race marathon celebration, regardless if you had a bad race or a good race, is like one of the fun. It's the only race for me that I don't have to then go cool down after, I can just be with my family and my friends. And so there was no partaking in that, which kind of stunk.
Were they there? Was your brother there or your mom? And
my mom was, which was a really big, and she told me the night before, because she ran one marathon, and I love my mother. She thinks she's a very serious, or was a very serious athlete, but she wasn't. I'm just going to say it. So
hi, Mom.
Yeah. She was saying, the night before, I don't know how to get around this race, so I'm just going to be at the finish line. So really, really big part of why I wanted to finish as well was because I really did want to see my mom.
That's I feel for you so bad. I mean, I got to give you so much props for everything. Just making it through that race. Incredible time. At least I think it's incredible. You should be proud of yourself. And I still think you walked away looking like a superstar.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
And I read this quote, and you mentioned earlier you had an eating disorder back in high school, I think. And you said, I'm finally at the point in my life where the only thing I care about what people think of me is internally.
Yeah.
So I think that's partly why, you were able to keep going during that race, and everything in your mind before the finish line, how you're able to like power through and just crush that race.
Yeah. Well, this race was, I think, probably the first race in years that was purely for myself. Earlier last year, I had gotten a tibial stress fracture, and it was my second bone injury. And it was a really huge wake-up call that I was still undernourishing. And so I got healthy, but I knew, I had really, really started to nourish more appropriately. And so as a byproduct, my body changed. And so I, many times when I was training, just felt embarrassed in my body. And then I just got to a point halfway through the CIM cycle where I was just like, I'm so proud of my body. I really do not care what people think other than, about it being internally. So yeah, I remember just kind of having that thought as well. And it all kind of coming into fruition the whole 2021 and just being like, I'm finishing this.
Nice. Well, we're proud of you for that. You did proud. Awesome.
Thank you. Well, and I just want to say one more thing. So after I did an interview with, this is another great story.
Yay.
So, we love stories.
I guess Insider is like a really big news source. I was contacted from this reporter, and she said I'm from Insider, and I do some kind of like brand ambassadors with this brand ambassadorship with this company called Inside Tracker, which is for your blood. It's for athletes' blood, and it tests, over like 30 blood biomarkers. And so when it came out on the insider.com, one of my family friends reached out and they were like, Addi, this is huge. And I was like, oh, do you use Inside Tracker? Like I had no idea that, the Insider was a really big thing. But after that article came out, the attention and some of the negative comments and whatnot were way harder to deal with than any moments in that race. So gave me a whole new level of sympathy for, really, really pro athletes and people in the spotlight.
Absolutely. I can imagine that too. Like I've never, neither of us, are at that level, but I couldn't imagine what it's like for someone like you who has just this national story come out, and you got people like us, writing to you saying, this is amazing. We're so proud of you. It started off with, can we share your photos, because we felt like we couldn't steal those. Mm-mm. And then, yeah, I guess I could see there's just a lot of, we'll call them haters out there, or people who just have to, keyboard warriors is another term. And if they were like, face to face with you like we are right now, virtually, I wish we were in California. It's nice and warm there. I don't know if they would really say that, but because they have a keyboard and they can just write anything on Twitter or Instagram, I mean, they go off, and I got to imagine that's not easy.
Yeah, it's not easy, but I just turned off all my notifications, and then kind of a few weeks later was able to sit down with my brother at Christmas and laugh at them. Because like I said, I really don't care what people think. And kind of a big point you just brought up, like, would they like say it to my face? Really? Probably not. So
I'm glad you answered our notification.
Yeah, I answered the nice ones.
I just don't know why people just can't say nice things. Like, just if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. You learn that when you're like 5 years old. So just, people, pay attention.
I'm working on it right now with my daughter, just trying to teach her things, which, by the way, now I know 2 Adelines.
Yes.
Which is so cool.
Does she go by anything short?
Okay, so here's the thing, is I was running on Friday, not kidding. And this is the day, this is like 6 hours before I realized her name was Adeline. And I'm thinking, I'm trying to think about this interview, and I'm like, her name is Addi. I wonder if that's like her real name or short, because we almost named her, no, her nickname was going to be Addi. And there was all this spelling. How are you going to spell it? A-D-D-Y, A-D-D-I-E, or just with the I like yours? And then all of a sudden, I just kept calling her every day Adeline, to the point where now she'll correct people if they call her Addi. She'll go, no, my name's Adeline. And a couple of Ashley's friends, my wife is Ashley, a couple of her friends still call her Adeline sometimes. Like, hi, Adeline. She goes, it's Adeline. No, they'll go, hi, Addi. She goes, my name's Adeline. And I don't recall that happening recently, but we were going to, and we even have some friends made us these decorations for her bedroom when she was a baby, and they said Addi. And they're all spelled differently because we could never determine how we want to spell it. There is one difference, though, in the spelling. Have you seen the movie Age of Adeline?
I haven't.
Okay, so Ashley has this family thing where every girl in her family, their name needs to start with the letter A. So there's Ashley, there's Amber, there's Alize, there's Olivia, there's Elena. I mean, there's like 13 of them. And she's like, and she was like, one, my daughter's going to be Alexandria. And I'm like, no, because my brother's Alex and I can't have that. I'm like, nope. And so she finally agreed to that. And we watched that movie, Age of Adeline. And I was like, what about Adeline? And so you spell it A-D-E, but we decided to spell it the way of the movie, A-D-A.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
I like
it. And when you look it up in the baby books and all the names, it's always spelled A-D-E-L-I-N-E, but we went with the A-D-A like the movie. So, but it's still, it was so cool. My best friend, his father-in-law, super cool guy. If you meet him, he'll teach you how he makes wine and all this with like the crushing of the grapes and everything. He comes up, he actually texted me like the day after she was born, and he goes, I think that is the greatest name in the world after hearing it. And every time I see him, he reminds me, he's like, that's such an amazing, beautiful name. I'm like, thanks, man.
You did good.
I'm so happy with it. And then I have boys, they're twins, Tommy and Tyler, original.
Yeah, totally got away from those names.
All right, so let's get into some other things. We want to get to know you a little more. Erica really wants to know about your Olympic trials.
I am fascinated with that, actually. So, yeah, just tell me about your experience with the Olympic trials. And do you plan on going for the next Olympics?
Yeah, so after my first marathon, I just got, I think the right word is greedy. I just thought, if I can run this time on my very first try, I am going to get top 50 at the Olympic trials. And I just did not let my body rest. I did 2 more races within like a month of the Olympic trials, and then ultimately got my very first injury. I had 2 stress reactions in my hip. And so that took a really long time to come back from. And then heading into the Olympic trials, I had some nerve issues. And if you've ever had nerve issues, you know that they are just there's not really a cure. Like they can just get really mad, and then they can just, calm down. And so I was able to find the root of the problem. I had a shifted bone in my ankle. So kept getting it readjusted, knocked back into place by my chiropractor. And I was able to run pain free, but the hours of cross training just weren't going to get me top 50 per se.
Mm-hmm.
And so about 10 days before the trials, I told my coach, like, I don't even know if I want to go, because I just felt so out of shape, so embarrassed. And he said, let's just do one loop, which was 8 miles. And I was like, okay, yeah, I'll go. And so then once I landed in Atlanta, the whole field was staying at one hotel. You'd look to your left, there's Shalane Flanagan. You'd look to your right, there was your rival in college. It was like so overly stimulating and exciting. And you're trying to be calm, but oh my gosh. And okay, free pair of Nike shoes. It was just like the craziest experience.
So you were having your own fangirl moments, being like, oh my God, look at all these people. I would have freaked out.
And I could have my own fangirl moment, because again, like, I didn't feel like I was racing. I felt like I was just there doing great long run. And I'm so happy that my first Olympic trials was that experience. So the night before, I was like, I'm doing the whole thing. And I told my coach, and he's like, no, I knew you were going to do that. So yeah, got in it, and conditions were rough. And I thought everyone was like exaggerating at how gnarly the course was. Oh my gosh. It was brutal. The wind was so brutal. The thing that was the most sore on me the day after was my upper back, just from like bracing the wind. But yeah, it was just so fun. And prior to CIM, that was like my proudest finish I'd had. And now CIM is my proudest finish.
Excellent. So did you have to qualify to get into the trials, and then you had to hit that certain target to get into the Olympics? Is that how it works?
Well, it happened, I think, at Grandma's, right?
Yeah. So the Olympic trials qualifying time for women in 2020 was 2:45 flat. So basically, if you ran a 2:45 or under marathon on a USA TF certified course, then you punch your ticket to Atlanta. So that's step one. And then of everyone that qualified, which 2020 was the largest field in US Olympic trials history, it was over 500 women, which is why they made the mark 8 minutes quicker for this next Olympic window. So then when you get on the line of the Olympic trials, then you have to finish top 3 to make the Olympic team.
I did watch a majority of it. Like I was watching for Des. I have a soft spot for Des Linden. And yeah, I saw like Molly Seidel, she got her second place. And yeah, it was really fun to watch. I really do love watching marathons on TV. I'm very weird that way, but it is what it is.
I think my first question when I crossed the finish line was, did Des make it? Because I'm a huge Des Linden fan as well. And when someone told me she got 4th, I was like, that's so cruel. Please tell me you're lying.
Mm-hmm. I wanted her to race so bad, but it's hard to want somebody else to drop out so she could be in it. So I was like, all right, you're an alternate. That's still great news. Like, incredible performances from everybody. It was very cool. But I'm glad you had a great experience. So yeah, plans to try again?
Oh, for sure. I am all in with trying to make team 2028, 2032, or a world's team in the marathon eventually.
That's so awesome. Yeah, you've got a lot. Hopefully a really long career ahead of you, because you're still in your mid 20s, right? You're very young. we're in our mid 30s, so it's out of the question for us. But
was it ever in the question?
No, it wasn't in the question. But you know what I mean.
I turned 26. I guess 2 weeks ago now. No, 1 week ago. I don't know.
Oh, happy birthday.
Related, yeah.
Wait, what was the date?
March 4th.
No way.
Is that your daughter's birthday?
Yes.
Are you serious?
Last Friday.
What are the odds?
Sorry, you cut out. What do you say?
What is her middle name?
Christine, which Christine's my grandmother.
Okay, Shannon.
Oh my God. Just wait till I get home.
Mind blown.
Was it? So you just turned 26. What would that be? 95?
96.
96. Oh, yeah. I'm an 85 baby here.
I'm an
Okay.
86 baby, so whatever.
Yeah, but I've been saying, and this week I'm in my late 20s now because, once you get 5 and above, you round up and everyone's like, no, you're still in your mid 20s.
Yeah.
So I'll take.
I agree. Mid 20s. You hit, 0 to 3 is early. 4 to 6 would be mid, and then 7 to 9 would be late. That's what I would go. So I'm in my mid 30s until July, when I'll be in my late 30s. I'll hit 37, which I might then change. I might then change those rules and keep saying, I don't feel 37. I mean, I feel like I'm in great shape for being 6 feet, 200 plus pounds. I did an Ironman 2 years ago. I'm going to do another half this year and another full next year. I'm like, I don't feel like, sometimes I feel like I'm better shape than I was in college. For sure. When we went to college together. I mean,
Oh, wow.
we have pictures together, and she pulls one up the other day and she goes, look at this. You had hair. And I had long hair. And now look at me.
Whoa.
Yeah, shave that.
We're both in much better shape than then. You didn't run.
Nope. I think I am in the best shape I've ever been in, and I will forever be perpetually 29. That's how women work, right? How old are you? I'm 29. I'm 29.
And I think the same will go for you. Like, you'll continue to learn and get stronger. For instance, my friend Scott, and we'll have him on soon. He just qualified for Kona. He's 60.
Oh, wow.
And he's been trying for years, and he's just turned 60. In fact, he won a race yesterday in Miami.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of the race, but it was a 70.3 distance, and he won his age group. So, I mean, when you get older, I feel like runners and triathletes hit their prime in their 30s. So I don't even think you've hit your prime yet as far as distance.
You're going places, Addi. You're going places. And I can't wait to see where you go. That's going to be awesome.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
So, all right. We talked distance running there. You ever think after you achieve your goals and your dreams with the marathon, you would go longer, you go bigger, ultras?
Oh, for sure. I've already done one ultra, technically. I had the opportunity. I used to run, again, for the Hoka Aggies. And so when you're kind of a club member of a Hoka sponsored club, they treat you like a pro. You get like basically all the gear the pros do, invited to a lot of the opportunity the pros do. So they were holding an event called the Carbon X2 Project, and the main person was Jim Walmsley. He was trying to break.
I know Jim. He runs with Courtney Dauwalter.
Yeah,
that name's very familiar. Okay, awesome. Keep going.
I mean, he's the LeBron James of ultra running. So yeah, it was mainly for him to try and break the American record in the 100K, but they were headlining that they were trying to do that for the women as well. So they reached out to a lot of the other Hoka runners to come and pace. And there was money incentives based on what you paced up to, with 50K being the highest. And my coach at the time said, you can absolutely not go above 22 miles. And one, I really wanted to go to 50K just because like I'm there. It was like the thick of COVID, and like two, the pay might have been double. And so yeah, I went to 50K. And so I guess I've technically done an ultra, but yeah, I definitely want to do them. Through each injury, it has really stunned me at the amount of people that will come up to me and, ask what's wrong. And then I say like, oh, I'm a runner, I'm injured. And so many people just think that they can say, oh, I used to be a runner. You'll give it up too. Like, in what other profession or passion? I would never go up to a doctor and be like, you're going to burn yourself out. Might as well quit right now. So I always tell people I'm going to be running till the day I die. My legs might be walking, but I'm going to be pumping my arms, telling you that I am running.
Good for you. I feel the exact same way. I'm going to be like the 80-year-old marathoners. I'm going to be out there. That's probably the only way I'll qualify for Boston is when I'm 80, but I'm going to take it and I'm going to enjoy every minute of it.
She's run Boston, actually. She's done it before, just, for
through
Boston.
Charity.
Yeah. So if you want to run Boston, you either got to qualify or you got to do it through charity. And typically you got to raise 10 grand. We actually did an episode about that a couple episodes ago, and we had a friend come on, and the two of them talked about what they did for fundraising or what they're doing. In fact, we are sponsoring a comedy night for our friend who's trying, to hit her 10 grand goal for Boston in a couple weeks. And it will be my first Boston experience, by the way. I mean,
How special.
it'll be cool. Now, she ran it in 18.
Yep. That was Des Linden's year. I ran it in that super shitty weather.
Yep.
But it's still awesome.
Rained like 5 inches, right?
Yeah, something ridiculous, yeah.
It was epic.
Oh
Is Boston on your list for someday? You can get in probably whenever you want.
No, but yes, it definitely, I want to do all of the 6 majors, and yeah, thought about it doing it this year, but really just the next marathon I do next few, just really want to get that trials qualifier out of the way. And do you think I could do it on the Boston course? Yeah. Is it an ideal PR course? No. So
you should do Chicago. I'll be there this year. That's a good course.
If you're there, I'll go too. I'll figure it out.
It's on my list. I have a new coach currently, and we're talking about it. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
How many more do you have for the 6?
I have 1 to go, Addi. 1 to go. I have Tokyo.
Okay.
And you're already in Tokyo.
I've got the bib. They just need to let international runners go. So I'm just waiting on that.
So jealous. That is so cool.
It's been taking a while. I started back in 2017 is when I started, and
that's not a while at all.
It feels like forever for me. I'm just waiting and waiting at this point. But yeah,
I think
you're gonna love them.
I think COVID kind of got in the way. That's why she's been waiting forever.
Mm-hmm. I was supposed to go 2020. I can't wait till you go do these. Like, I'm gonna follow your journey. This is gonna be great.
Oh yeah. I haven't been out of the U.S., so the first time I go, I really want it to be for a marathon.
You've never traveled out of the U.S., or you mean you never raced out of the U.S.?
Both.
Okay.
I mean, I've been to Mexico, but does that count? No.
Yeah, I've been to Mexico and Canada, and I would agree. In Canada, I felt like I was in another country because they spoke French. I guess in Mexico, they spoke Spanish too, so that doesn't make sense. But, I mean, Canada's just 4 hours north of me, and we'd go to Montreal. Well, the Ironman I did was Mount Tremblant, which is 90 minutes north of Montreal. So that was in Canada. And then I've been to Cozumel for Ironman Cozumel, but that wasn't me. I was just Scott's Sherpa. So I was like running around and helping him with it. And he had quite the race. He's going to be on later sharing his stories about that. He had a Code Brown in that race too.
Yeah, we gotta save that, but we'll hype him up so he'll actually come on the show.
Yeah, he's the guy who won yesterday in Florida. He'll be back next month. We'll have him in person. And when we're big time, we'll just fly you in to do this in person.
Yeah.
I got to ask, in the background here is you got some surfboards. Do you go out in the ocean there, or?
Yes. My boyfriend's a really big surfer, and so that's his White Claw board, and then that's my Almere board. I've grown up surfing and used to go. Anything I've done in my life, I'm like, I'm going to go pro at it. So in junior high, I was going to be a professional soccer player and surfer. And then kind of took a little break as running, just has basically taken over my life. But starting to get back into surfing, and it's been really great, definitely through this injury, just because surfing's a lot like running in that you get to really connect with nature. It's kind of you versus you. And at least my philosophy now with running is like, whenever I get very frustrated with it, I just start laughing at myself. Kind of the same with surfing. It's like, okay, if the worst part of my day is that I didn't put one foot in front of the other as fast as I wanted, I'm having a great day.
Mm-hmm. That's so awesome. I wish I had picked up like other ways to cross train a lot sooner. I do cycling now, and I think that actually helped my running a ton, but I need to find some other activities to do. But yeah, surfing over here is probably not for you either. Even in the middle of summer, like it's 30 degree ocean, 40 degree ocean. It's
No, I'd call it maybe 68 on a good day.
Not in the water. No way. That's like beach temperature.
That's warm.
People go in the ocean here in July and August.
Yeah, you go in, but it's freezing.
My friend Jay does it, but he does it in January because the waves are bigger.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And actually, okay, have you ever heard of, ultra runners, have you ever heard of Amelia Boone?
So besides Shalane Flanagan, she is my second idol because of her story with her eating disorder. And I actually got to meet her 2 years ago now, I think. And I was crying, may or may not have made her cry as well. And we still talk to this day. So yes, I know Amelia.
Okay, so you know who her new boyfriend is?
Doug.
No. Doozer.
Okay.
That's right.
I just,
So
yeah.
Ryan Van Doozer, so she fangirls, I dude crush, right? Ryan Van Doozer, I absolutely love the guy. Follow him on YouTube. His stories are amazing. You should check them out. But he just started dating her. Talk about surfing in January. I got to meet him when he came here to do some filming, paddleboarding just outside Boston in the ocean on January 8th. And it was like 12 degrees that day.
Wow.
I bring it up because like there are no limits. If you want to do something, I guess you can just go do it. And so Jay surfs in the middle of winter because the waves are bigger. Ryan, and I brought up Ryan because I just remembered ultra running, and that's amazing that you knew who she was and you're like a huge fan. I love that.
Yeah.
I hope.
And the only I haven't really stalked him is because I got too attached to her ex-boyfriend. And so
well,
just in case.
You know, the same thing happened to me with Ryan and his ex-girlfriend. So I know what that's like.
Yeah.
But she seems amazing. Ryan is such a great dude. I got to meet him. I went out, had dinner with the guy, like got to pick his brain. This is before I knew I really wanted to do a podcast. And like, he's just so awesome and cool. And not to like, I don't want you to fall in love with his ex-girlfriend either, but if you ever do, check out Love Cycles. He biked across the country with her. But like, I can't wait to really learn who Amelia Boone is through Ryan's, through his lens. Because I have a feeling I'm going to see a lot more of her. They seem to be they're definitely in the honeymoon stage, but they seem to be like perfect for each other.
That's awesome.
She's an amazing.
And you're going to love him. You're going to love him.
Good.
I could talk to you for a long time.
Yeah, we've been keeping her a long time though.
I'll ask this as one last question before the music one that I know you want me to ask. Do you have any other awesome like stories, funny stories, mishaps, something that you'd like to share? One more for the show, and then.
So this wasn't my first Code Brown. A
Code Brown, by the way, by our definition, can be any oh crap moment.
Yes. Oh, okay. So going back to the 50K that I did last January, I don't want to be known as like the pooping runner. But I woke up the day before the 50K throwing up. Like I was actually ill, but like I felt fine the morning I woke up. But so I was pacing. Courtney Olson was my person that I had the duty of pacing, and she was just, 7 minutes flat. And so my tummy did not feel good because I was sick. And so it was more of a fart lick, a 50K fart lick, because I would peel off in a bush and then sprint to go get her and feel great. About 5K. And it was this cat and mouse. And I was like, girl, I'm sorry, you got the worst pacer in the world. And she totally understood because she's had her own stomach issues throughout her whole life. But yeah, that's another kind of interesting story that no one really knows.
So when you do these runs, are you prepared ahead of time? Like I'm always prepared. I always grab baby wipes. Are you always ready to go?
I have a whole, like, I have a bunch of, I'm like a huge clean and organization freak. I try not to appear that way. I try to appear like, yeah, this hippie surfer, but like, no, I'm so OCD. And so I have a bunch of baskets in my car that just organize things. And I have a basket full of just like emergency items. So yeah, there's definitely baby wipes. There's definitely full roll of toilet paper, but that's just even more so for just daily things. So yeah.
That's what I need. I need a basket in my truck.
I have a box of tissues in my car, and that does the trick for me.
Usually
all right, here's like 5. I'm ready to go.
Usually I just grab a few, throw it in a, what do you call it? Little baggie, little lunch baggie, and take it back with me.
Mm-hmm.
So a huge kind of game changer for the car. I have it's a pretty big, it's like a medium-sized trash can. And everyone's like, do you have a trash can in your car? And then whenever they road trip with me or just whatever, they're like, that trash can is so clutch. So total game. Get a trash can.
Not to get too personal, but like chafing. What do you do for chafing? Because I have an insider trick, that I got because I have kids, but I use diaper rash cream. What do you do?
Well, I have never really chafed up until CIM, and let's just say I made an appointment with my doctor just to make sure everything was kosher. And so after that, I just used Vaseline to help heal. So yeah, I'll take any of the tips I can get.
Yeah, if it ever happens again, baby diaper rash cream. This stuff is thick and heavy, but like in hours, you're good to go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
I need to take that advice also. Sometimes the Body Glide just doesn't do the trick, and it's you pay for it later.
Let me make sure we understand.
Oh, that's for after you chafe, right?
It's for after.
Okay.
Do not put it on before you run. It will slow you down.
It's gonna weigh you down, right?
No, this is for after. This is for after you clean yourself up, take a shower, which is extremely painful sometimes. Okay. And then you put on the diaper rash cream, you go lie down in your Normatec boots or something. We're big fans of those. That's when you use it. Not before you run. No.
Thank you for clarifying, because I would have done it before as well.
Noted. Okay, good.
I would get the Instagram message, I hate you.
Would not be fun. All right, so Addi, we've kept you for so long, but so I have created a Spotify playlist of songs that we like to listen to when we exercise and stuff that like gets us pumped up. We want to know what your favorite song is when you like to work out, and maybe we can add it to our playlist.
Get Out of Your Mind by Little John.
Writing it down. Oop, no, I'm not writing it down. It's going to squeak. All right, we're going to go back to that, and I will make sure to
I'd play it right now if we had rights and stuff like that, but Get Out of Your Mind by Little John. That's your go-to, huh?
Yeah, like whenever I am just in a really hard session, it just comes on in my mind every time.
That's awesome.
You ever get a song stuck in your head during like a marathon and you just keep singing it over and over? Does that like bother you or help you? Because right now for me, it's Lady Gaga, Rain on Me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's...
I think it's annoying, but it does help me because I can focus on like something else rather than like, the splits or whatever. If it's just like one line, I'm just like, yeah.
Very cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much. I hope someday we can have you again when you do some amazing things. This was awesome. You'll forever be, if we ever make it in this podcast world, and no matter how big or small we are, you'll always be one of our OGs. When we did our
big love to you, Addi.
Yeah, when we did our reboot, episode 5 was our little reboot from when we started in the summer with some other friends. You were like, that's when CIM happened, and this is us right here. And I'm so happy you agreed to come on and be a part of this.
Well, thank you for having me. And I'm a huge believer in manifestation. So I don't think that you should say if we. I think you should say when we make it big. Yes.
Well, we're determined to keep doing it and having a fun time. And you're right, because we'll keep going. And this is going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to have a lot more great stories. We got other people we have planned to come on and share some good ones. We hope you can follow along, and we'll be following you. Excited to see what you got, and we're pulling for you. You're I would have to say, our number one.
Yep. Number one fangirl right here.
Thank you. I so appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you, Addi.
Thank you, Addi. Oh, I know I said this to Addi's face like 5,000 times, but thank you so much for coming on. That was like the coolest experience. Just getting to know you and hearing all about your stories and where you're going and where you've been. I'm in awe right now. That was like just unreal. Like, you were so cool. Just so cool. I hope this is like of more to come. Like she said, not if, but when. Yes, that is like some of the best advice. You know what we need to do? We need to get like a vision board and start putting stuff on a vision board, because even in that other podcast I listened to, the Fake Doctors, Real Friends, Zach and Donald have their vision boards and they make stuff happen. We're going to make it happen. We have to. But that was just such a fun interview, and I'm over the moon right now. As much as I'm over the moon, I'm like, that went really long, and we could have gone on for hours, I think, with her. Oh yeah, she was so easy to talk to. We had this whole cool down part of the show we're going to do, and we're going to talk about Barkley's marathon, Power Zone Pack, your races that you just did.
I think we're just going to have to.
We'll save it for the next episode.
Well, and we'll do the next episode next week. So we'll have another episode next week. So that'll be 3 weeks in a row. Now that hockey's over for me, we are rolling. We are doing this. So everyone, thank you for coming on and listening to this episode. Thank you, Addi, for,
being so cool. You were so cool.
Wicked awesome, as we said. I love, real quick, to the emails we were sending back and forth. I said, we're wicked excited. I go, that's a New Hampshire word, by the way, wicked. And she goes, I'm totally stoked. That's a Cali word. I'm like, we're in. This is great. So
fits perfectly.
Yeah.
I like how she even razzed you on it. It's so good.
She did, because I said, you will talk about your time running at ASU. And she goes, I actually went to University of Arizona, but I won't hold it against you. So, all right, Addi, thank you. Everyone who's listening, listen, you can follow us on Instagram at On The Runs. Also, you can check out our Facebook page, but basically everything we put on Instagram goes on Facebook. We got stickers now. If anyone wants a sticker, send us an email or a shout out on Instagram. We'll send you a sticker. Tell us if you want blue or purple. We got magnets for the fridge and for your car. Everyone will love those going around. It's like I said, our logo On The Runs with us running and the toilet paper in the background. It's fantastic.
Yeah, we'll hook you guys up. So let us know.
Well, thanks again. I think we got one more thing, Erica, right?
Don't forget to stretch.
See you guys next week.